Countless anime fans grew up with this passionate classic. Today I'm going to talk about the mobile game Saint Seiya Legend of Justice, faithfully adapted from this legendary manga and anime series by Masami Kurumada. Saint Seiya Legend of Justice is a vertical idle game that restores the plot and characters from the anime. From the manga, I like Leo Aoria very much, and it's a pity that he has very few appearances, but I can use him and train him as the main character in this game, as well as teaming up my favorites. The game is easy and addictive. In the story, the Seiya put on the God Cloth and become very powerful, and here in the first anniversary of the game, we'll directly experience the strongest skill, Pegasus Comic Punch, that deals explosive damage. With the 1000 draws event, you can collect gold knights with the draws, then you'll become invincible. This anniversary only lasts for 2 weeks. As long as you join, you'll get free benefits every day. Scan the QR code on the screen or click the link down below and enter the game and use my exclusive code and start your adventure. Alright, so we've been talking lately a lot about the box office and just how strange, and it's not really that strange, but 2023 has been a very unique year when it comes to box office because we've learned that a lot of movies, many of them that weren't even that bad, have flopped at the box office, but two movies that have not flopped was this past week's premiere of Barbie and Oppenheimer. Barbie breaks ground with biggest opening day of 2023 from Variety, and then Oppenheimer also made 77 million. So basically what's going on here, y'all, this article's from Variety, is they're discussing sort of the fact that of all the movies, these two movies came out in the same weekend, and they're both very different films. I've seen Oppenheimer. I have not seen Barbie. I'm considering going to see it. Even though I'm not the demographic, I want to go see it because the second trailer that came out for it made it seem kind of like it's kind of funny. Like it seems like a funny movie. Now, I've already heard from people that it's woke and this and that. The problem is that whenever somebody on the internet says woke, I take it with a grain of salt because woke is different for every person. And for some people, everything is woke. And when somebody tells me it's woke, I always say to myself, well, I should probably see it for myself. But I did see Oppenheimer, and I have a review for the film here on the channel, and I was very impressed with what Christopher Nolan did with that movie. Now, what's interesting is it says here the more winning winner between the two, the number one movie in North America is Warner Bros. Discovery Barbie. So Barbie's number one. Now, Barbie has an obvious huge appeal because the Barbie toy line has been around for decades, you know. I mean, I can remember Barbie commercials on TV as long as I've been alive as a little kid. You know, it's nothing new. And it actually, according to this, did better than Spider-Man Across the Spider-Verse. The question is why? And that's really what I want to talk about in today's video. First of all, Oppenheimer being a success, I think it's because of a few reasons. Number one, Christopher Nolan has kind of made himself this sort of event filmmaker. He's kind of like Scorsese and like Tarantino, to where he is so well known, even to people even to people who aren't even hardcore movie fans. Even the casuals know these names because they've created such an allure around their body of work, not just with Christopher Nolan's, you know, Dark Knight trilogy, but also other films like Inception, like Tenet. People know when they go see one of his movies, you're going to get quality, you're going to get twists, and his twist endings are usually a little bit better and more refined than something like from M. Night Shyamalan. But M. Night Shyamalan's another guy who's really well known, for better or for worse. So I think when a Nolan movie comes out, because he puts one out every couple of years, last one before this one was Tenet, I think people know that, okay, we trust this guy, he's made good movies, he might make a bad one here and there, but it's still worth seeing. So I think Oppenheimer for sure had that kind of hype behind it. Plus the trailer looked great. I mean, it's an interesting story. Barbie, like I mentioned before, the second trailer was kind of better than the first because I actually was like, wait a minute, this looks to be a pretty funny movie. Like, you know, the story is that Barbie comes into the real world. It's not just going to be a 2.5 hour toy sale. There's a story here. But obviously the demographics, and we'll know more about this when we get to week 2 and week 3 when these movies are out, because we'll see if there's a big drop off for Barbie or how Oppenheimer does. But I want to talk about why this is going on. So I've done a bunch of videos about this on the channel. Please check them out if you haven't in the last few days, in the last couple of weeks. about superhero fatigue. I think that it's a real thing. I think it slowly kind of started post Endgame. I think there are still movies like Spider-Man No Way Home and even like Doctor Strange that people are going to go see because they feel important. However, there's other movies such as Eternals and even Ant-Man 3, because the Ant-Man movies were never huge successes at the box office. They're just another chapter in the MCU. Right. I think the issue is there's too much content. I've talked about it before. 3 Disney Plus shows a year, 3 movies a year. It's just too much. And I think people are being a lot more careful with how they spend their money. Yes, I do have an AMC Stubs Plus. I can go see however many movies I want a year, or a month, a week, three a week. And I pay for the movies once a month. It's a great deal. Regal Cinemas does the same thing, but a lot of people who are casual movie fans only go to movies once every couple months or once a month. You know what I mean? That's just how it is. So they're going to be more careful with their money. So when they see something like Barbie and they happen to have a daughter or something, they're going to go see that, like Little Mermaid, even though that flopped. And Oppenheimer's more so for adults. I don't think Oppenheimer's a movie that kids are going to be able to sit through. It's a very sophisticated script. With that being said, when I went to go see Oppenheimer, there were more people in that movie theater than there were for Ant-Man 3 and for Shazam 2. I mean, dude, it's not a secret. People have to understand, it's not a secret. It's not even that hard to figure out. People are burnt out on Marvel and they're burnt out on DC. I think DC has done a disservice to its fans by constantly changing the direction they're going in. I think they've burnt up the fan base, both the hardcore and the casuals. And I think that at this point, we're in an era where people just don't care anymore. And really, I think the important thing is to make good movies and tell good stories. It's not about CGI, or it's not about, having a huge special effects show. Obviously, movies like that, there are great movies like that. There's no argument there. I'm not saying to get rid of all special effects, but this proves beyond a shadow of a doubt, without question, that people go see movies not necessarily for the sizzle. Sometimes they go for the steak. And I'm not sure if the recent Marvel and DC titles have given people enough steak. I've been more forgiving than others. I've actually enjoyed most of them. I've been okay with it because I know what they are. But I think people kind of expect more at this point. And Oppenheimer, despite being a 3-hour movie and thus having less daily showings, has done extraordinarily well. And that's because of the clout and respect that Nolan has, and Barbie as well. So I'm interested to see where the second half of the year takes us as far as movies go, because the second trailer for Marvels came out. And while I admit it's better than the first trailer, my thoughts on the movie are still the same. I think it's going to flop. I think there's no interest going into it. It's just not doing well. No matter what, it's just not going to do well. I don't see that changing. But I hope that Hollywood looks at this. And number one, they stop with the bullshit of not paying the writers and getting AI to write the script. That's got to stop, because no matter how smart AI gets, man, a human being is a human being, and a computer cannot replicate the life of a human being and what inspires them to write stories. That's number one. And number two, which is part of number one, is you need to tell better stories. You need to tell better stories. I haven't seen Barbie yet, so I can't judge the story. It looks like it's going to be kind of a goofy comedy. I might not like it. I still kind of want to see it, though. I'm still in a weird spot where I'm kind of, you know what I mean? I'm kind of in the mood to check it out. Oppenheimer, though, was very realistic, in some parts, very dark, but very captivating. And ultimately, we need to focus more on creating characters that are captivating and interesting than Gaga. And I don't mean Lady Gaga. I mean, sizzle and no steak. What do you think, man? Let me know down below. I'm curious to get y'all's thoughts on what's going on with Hollywood right now. And we'll talk very soon. Take care.